Welcome back to the channel. As usual, we're working on our Cummins build. Today's what we're going to try and get done today is we're going to pull the transmission. We're going to pull the 68 RFE in to get ready to do our 48 RE swap. Last night I drained the transmission, the transfer case, and that's all I was going to do. But while I was waiting for him to drain all the way, I did some other stuff. I pulled the rod out for the four-wheel drive. The front drive shaft disconnected. I just zip tied it out of the way. I pulled all the wiring back and disconnected it. Like I said, I disconnected the linkage for the transfer case. Rear drive shaft out. Drained the transfer case. What we have left is to unbolt our cross member, which what we'll do is we'll just take the nuts off, leave the bolts in until we get our jack on our transmission. We have our torque converter to unbolt, and we have this bracketry here. This I don't even know, I guess rubber. It's got the rubber pieces to isolate it, I guess, for vibration or whatnot. We got to unbolt that. I think I'm gonna pull the transmission and transfer case all at one. So we got to undo our torque converter, undo this and the cross member, then we can unbolt the transmission from the motor. So let's get cracking. Alright guys, we got our 6 torque converter bolts out. One thing to note, since we have the electric fans, it's kind of tough to get the ratchet in there all the way on our fleece boring tool. Now the boring tool did make it a lot easier to turn over rather than doing it with a pry bar and fiddling around with that. I just stuck this, but as you can see, I'm not even getting full engagement on my ratchet. Maybe it's just because the head's too big, but yeah, having the electric fans definitely makes that a little more of a chore. And it also, you got to just kind of figure out how to get it in there too, because the shroud's a little tight to it. So yeah, so yeah, like I said, just got to fiddle with it. Yeah, so just something to note if you decide to take the same route I did. Another way you can make sure that you had gotten all the bolts for the torque converter is now it'll spin. So now we know it's disconnected from the motor. So, doesn't appear to be a drain plug on this. Some of your aftermarket ones will have a drain plug. I guess factory ones, it wouldn't make sense for there to be one because they don't even put a fucking drain plug on the pan. You gotta pull it off and make a mess just like I did. So, looking at it, I probably should have just not put the downpipe in yet because this cooler line's in the way. So I'm gonna try and, alright, well, that'll probably come out when we lower our transmission. I'll just try and remember to keep an eye on it. The only reason I didn't cut these out is because I want to try and figure out a nice way to integrate them with our 48RE, and since we're using that front cord and keeping AC for the time being. But anyway, I think we are ready to get the jack under here. And oh look, I'm starting to think this truck was off-road a little. I mean, look at that crossover. Paint's all wore off that fucker. Anyhow, I think we're ready to put the jack on it. We'll put the jack up, we'll strap the transmission to the jack. I will also throw a jack on the back on the torque converter, or not torque converter, on the transfer case to get that. And after we do that, we'll take the weight of the transmission. We will pull this cross member out, and then we will undo the bolting around the bell housing. So that's where we're at. Alright guys, so the factory 68 RFE transmission is out. One thing that I like to do when I'm pulling it, as you can see, my jack setup is not the best. I had to jack the truck all kinds of weird like in order to get it to fit out of there. So, I'll let this down easy. Or not as easy. I like to put another strap on this torque converter just so it doesn't flop out while I'm fiddling around, and I don't have just one less thing to have to worry about. So yeah, there's the input shaft for the transmission, underside of the torque converter. We're going to talk more about all this later. One thing before I finish this video that I am very curious, the used parts pile is getting big. Take a... Ooh. Alright, so for whatever reason this thing's full of sand. I don't know why that is. That, and seeing as how these fender liners are cut out up here, I'm starting to wonder what this previous owner used this for. Must have had it on the dunes or something like that. Whatever you people in Florida do for fun, whatever the hillbillies, I'm assuming it's a hillbilly because I found a shell in the front of it. Nothing wrong with hillbillies. But anyway, yeah, a lot of questions about this truck. But yeah, it's slowly becoming ours. Yeah, the transmission's out. We'll have to separate the the transfer case, and we will have to pull the transfer case apart. Looks like we're missing another nut here on our transfer case. So that, and I think this transmission may have been rebuilt. I think the dealer, when I bought the truck, had mentioned that. I really wasn't concerned about it because this 48RE right here she's going in there. But anyway, I'm gonna get cleaned up. You know, clean things up here in the garage a little bit. It's like a mess, like always. But yeah, so that's pulling a 68 RFE. Next couple videos we're going to be discussing and going over a 48 RE swap. Why, how, what, when, who. If you got any questions on it, put it in the comments below, and I will try and make sure they get answered in the next upcoming videos. So get out in the garage and get wrenching.